All right, we'll get this started. It's January the 24th at 6:08 p.m. and this is the Subdivision and Land Use Committee meeting. Let's call it to order. Roll call, myself, Brian Kanelican, attending, including Sandy Hefner, Ed Koenig, Mark Wagner, Gary Kruger, Ben Heitzig, and outside of the committee, but also attending is Cindy Craig Miles, John Houseman, Mike Weaver, and Bob Johnson, and Bob Johnson's from the Farm Bureau. Any public comment?
Well, my husband's back there too.
Oh.
Oh.
Sheriff too.
Yeah, also there's John Hefner and Sheriff,
Mike Ringhausen.
yes, Ringhausen. Also attending. Okay, any public comment?
Well, I would like to know where the ordinance came from. Is it a sample ordinance that was handed out? Where did you get the ordinance and how was it developed? The other thing is that I had mentioned something to Gary Kruger at the last meeting that you guys have the opportunity to guide development by doing certain things. And one of the things that you could do, this does not address, for example, the intermodal facility. And the reason I'm saying this is that if in fact that happens, you're going to have many acres of buildings with roofs. And the trend is that you put solar on those. And it makes sense to mandate or tax them if they do not do that. And if you in fact put a tax on them for not doing it, it's a stream of revenue that the county's going to get based on your ordinance or statute, however you want to look at it. It's a way that you can push people to do something, or you're going to get something back. Where this is essentially, I'm all for people developing their ground, and I think everybody is, but this is just putting things in place that if somebody does in fact do it, and if you put more into it than just this ordinance, you can guide development instead of just saying, well, you got to do it a particular way. Okay, that's my point. And whatever, this looks as if it's just ready for somebody to initial, and I would think that you'd be better off getting public comment and also maybe expanding this to push development in a particular way versus, well, you got to have footings that are so thick or whatever.
Okay, anyone else?
I'm with Mr. Weaver. I'd like to know where did this originate from? Was this from the state? Where did this come from? Where did this originate from?
The state of Illinois has passed 3 public acts regarding energy, renewable energy. It's their intention to have most of Illinois on a certain percentage by 2025. And they have given incentives to corporations or solar companies by grants. They're giving them grants. They've also passed a property tax code, which does cover the assessment of these solar farms or wind farms. In addition, they've also created a Jobs Act. So, from what I'm gathering, and I'll give you this to read as well, but from what I'm gathering, these are new incentives that are being provided. The issue here is that this is a ordinance that the state of Illinois has gone in with 3 other states. That would be Wisconsin and Michigan. They're all in this for the renewable energy system, and it is a they provide the governments with a toolkit that you can or cannot, whatever you want to enforce. This basically is to protect the agricultural land. These solar farms and wind farms, they allow the ground to sit for many years. There's soil erosion, they lose their minerals. And so this is a protection basically for the agricultural districts or the zoning, wherever you want to call it. They have to be on so many acres, and then at the end of the lifespan of these systems, you have to have in place a program for them to be able to go in and take everything away and replace the ground, the soil, as it was pre-solar farm.
And to mitigate.
At this time.
Okay, before we get too far into that, let's continue on. We'll pick it right up after we get done with the next item here. Any more public comment? Okay, old business, there is none. The new business, which is what we've been talking about, the solar energy farms, and I guess Cindy, if you want to take it from here.
Yes, and I asked Mr. Johnson here because he is the chairman of the local farm bureau, and the Illinois State Farm Bureau has been very, very, very instrumental in providing all of the information for the ordinances and for all of the other organizations that are involved, which is also the Illinois Association of County Board Members. They also have provided for the agricultural, there's also an agreement when they go into these farms and they want to lease 30, 40 acres of agricultural ground. They have to also, they've provided for them to make an agreement through the Department of Agriculture so that they can also monitor these systems.
Okay, and that is what is within this document?
Yes,
Here, okay.
and this is the agreement that they are required to go into with the Illinois Department of Agriculture. And this document here sets guidelines for them as far as setbacks, yes, and the height of the towers, because we don't want to get into any aviation problems. It also discusses the noise level, especially when you have the wind turbines, and any other kind of EPA problems such as the birds and things of that nature.
Okay. And I guess getting into how you came up with this, I mean, obviously there's some guidelines in place already for, but this has been critiqued for, I mean, or designed for this particular application, obviously. Looks like there's some state statutes in here. But yeah, a lot of it just has to do with, you have a farm bureau. I mean, I'm sure you've got some hot points that you'd like to see addressed.
Right, like I mentioned earlier, they're basically, they can make it look really good up front. We want to make sure people take the time and look it over and have maybe a lawyer look at it with them.
The property owner.
The property,
Yeah.
yes. We're concerned on the farmers, the
have.
agriculture and what's going to impact them. Like I say, I've gotten several letters in the mail too, wanting to solicit for these. And the main concern is what will be done with the property should they pull out in their 10-year contract. You're left with all this concrete out there, all your topsoil's not there no more. Are you going to be stuck with this and still being taxed for that? The concerns is putting it back the way it was before they came in.
Okay.
And basically, our concerns are mainly that, just look out for the farmer that they don't jump the gun, and this is a good deal, $1,500 an acre, and sign a contract. We're we're trying to get people to understand, take your time and research it.
Mm-hmm.
And these guidelines here, what I read so far is about what I've been seeing.
Okay.
going through.
Is there any restrictions on the size, maximum size of these farms or anything like that? I mean,
We, from what my research is that I have found that it has to be at least 2 acres. Because anything smaller than that, then you would be too close to property lines, and especially if you're near.
oh, you mean the existing ground has to be a 2-acre plot
Mhm.
or larger
Mhm.
in order for a company to come in and set up
Yes.
shop?
Yes.
Okay.
We need to distinguish between a commercial setup and a personal homeowner, because they're putting, this development out here, they got the solar panels on the roofs, and your houses are only 15, 20 foot apart.
Right, and we, at this time,
And
I
you
didn't.
got tax breaks to put up a solar panel. My son's got solar panels in his yard down in Godfrey,
Mhm.
so.
So does this ordinance cover
It's
both
just
residential?
commercial. No.
It's commercial?
I
Okay.
didn't know how the board would feel about taxing or permitting for the residents. Yes, there's also a provision in the Illinois state law that if you're in a subdivision and you have a homeowners association, they cannot prevent you from putting on solar panels on
Yeah,
your
because,
roof.
I mean, if a homeowner puts it up, it's for their own use to knock down their utility, or help out with utility bills. A farm, to me, would be to make revenue and
Correct.
tax, and, that would all apply to that. So I don't know if you'd want it.
But we gotta distinguish, because reading this, you could insert that a homeowner in the county couldn't put panels up if he had less than a 2 acre.
I got you, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah,
Very
and
good.
I think most of this refers to the farms and not residential. Yeah, I could see where if you started it on the residential side of it, it would create an issue too, because of the fact that, yes, it's for their own personal, and it's on an existing home. At the same time, you don't really know, if their roof can support that additional weight.
Well, like Gary said, I mean, that's a very good point. I mean, we want to make sure that this document wouldn't pertain to the homeowner.
And it does not.
Okay, I mean, is there anything in here that would kind of,
Is there a section that addresses that?
yeah,
No, but we can add that. We can put
That-
in
that
here
would be
that
good.
this
So-
is for
so,
commercial development.
Yeah, because
yeah.
on the first page it says, the county of Jersey, they're regulating solar farms, also known as solar parks or solar fields. So, would need an additional section that would address strictly residential.
Okay.
Yeah, and would say something to the effect that this would not apply to a residential application or something of that order.
There is a definition that defines solar farm. In section 1 on page 2, H.
Okay, yeah, I guess.
But it doesn't hurt to cover.
Yeah, I agree, yeah. I'd say just throw it in there up front and then, yeah.
You might have them mixed up. Wind farm, it doesn't define wind farm as well as it does on the solar farm. It doesn't say anything about commercial versus residential on the wind farm at the bottom of page
Right.
2.
Okay. Fix that too. We can also, if you would like, on E, page 3, we can make that into, instead of a lot size, if you would like to change it into acreage, so that it doesn't sound like that it can be on a residential lot, we could fix that as well.
That verbiage, yeah.
If we're putting on, do we wanna put a maximum?
Yeah. This is
There's a
just
minimum, but there's no
preliminary.
maximum.
Right, so that's why I don't know if there's anything in the state of Illinois that, you know, it sets a ceiling for the maximum amount of,
Jersey County.
you know, I don't know if there's anything like that
I
in the
haven't
state.
seen
Yeah,
anything.
I mean, wind farms, I mean, I don't know if you've driven up,
How about
Pittsfield's has some.
I mean,
my county has
if you go up
some.
51, like towards Chicago, towards Rockford, I
Yes.
mean, I bet there's,
Oh my. Thousands of.
yeah, I mean, it's just,
All over.
it can make you dizzy driving. I mean, there's so many. So, yeah, I don't know what's in place as far as the state of Illinois is concerned for maximum size.
And this, a lot of this, we checked in the ordinances. They do have a lot for the communication inventory, but their state statutes really have not yet addressed the solar part of it. I think they're just now getting into it. I can double check all of these here. This is about the pollination, and I can check them here to make sure that there isn't anything not a limit. I don't see anything so far about acreage. It's whatever you all decide, you know, whatever you want to make.
I don't know if I really wanna rush into this one. I think maybe we need a little bit more time
I
to do
would
some
agree.
research and think we do this right.
I would agree. I mean, we're setting up something here that, yeah, that, I don't know how big some of these can get. I mean,
I don't know, I already have, one person that already has leased 6 acres, and they've been in the office, discussing their plans. And I've had several phone calls from the, solar companies. So I've also had, what is it here, is it, your electrical?
Amber.
Is it Amber? Substation out here on, I think it's Centennial.
yeah.
The acreage that they're looking at is right there by the substation, and they, Ameren came in and talked to me and said that they were going to, I guess, partner with this person, and that they would eventually tap in. They're gonna redo that substation all over, make it bigger,
Okay.
and then they're gonna tap into the solar. That's why I thought we should, get on the, stick with this.
Yeah.
But I agree, I want everybody to take time on.
Is that how this works though, as far as the term of a contract? Is it set out for like 10, 20, or 30 years, or how do these things work as far as the business end goes? Do you know, or?
From what I've read, and I've studied on these quite a bit. And as Bob said, these things tend to only last, these grids last about 10 years. And then you have to.
The lifetime of the components, okay.
Yeah, so, and it also, if their permitting process, from what I gather in the state statute is, if in the meantime their permit expires with the local government, then they have to turn around and re-sign a new agreement with the Department of Agriculture. So I guess they're really watching the time span on this.
So if a governmental time span lapses and they have to sign a contract with the,
So when they get their permit from us, and they take longer than is normal, a year well over a year, their permit's gonna expire.
okay,
And so if they've already gone into an agreement with the landowner, with the agricultural, then they'll make them re-sign that agricultural agreement.
okay.
So it starts that process.
So the people that, they actually own the equipment that they're putting on someone's land. They're just leasing the land. So at the end of 10 years, if it needs to be replaced, then it's up to them if they want to re-enter another 10-year agreement or whatever. And then it's up to the company then to replace all that equipment.
Correct. Or they have to remove everything and restore the ground back to its pre-agricultural condition.
Okay.
It may be out of order under public comment part, but I know that several landowners, and typically they try to get them into a 20 and 30-year lease. It's a long-term lease. Now, the viability of the company is the thing that's kind of in question, you know, just how much stability do they have economically?
Well, and I'm kind of thinking that maybe they need to put up some type of bond. You
They
know,
do.
that, do they? Okay.
A performance bond or?
One of the landowners told me they was talking 30 and 40-year lease with an automatic 2% increase in the rent, and they was gonna pay the taxes.
Yeah, if you get past, typically, I think after you get past about 10 years, then they have automatic escalators in there to,
But,
and it gets it gets pretty pricey.
the big thing would be the concrete and the structures. That I wouldn't be concerned too much about erosion, because once it's in and it's grassed down, there shouldn't be too much.
Well, you're gonna kill a lot of birds, and if the eagles, people come here for eagles, and those things start doing eagle strikes, you're gonna see a outroar the likes of which you've never seen.
These are,
Windmills.
Yeah.
these are solar panels.
Yeah, these are-
They tell us there's not enough wind currents here for wind farms.
Right.
We turn them down on the grinds.
Well,
Yeah, I don't think we have enough wind either. I've heard that from others.
it's all down here at ground level.
I think we need more information on it.
They're wanting close to the high lines and to the substations too.
I think it's something we need to jump on, but yeah, we need to table it for, I don't know, 2 weeks, a month, something.
Unless we need to do something temporary, if there's people coming in for
Yeah,
permits, and
I
we
was gonna say,
could do something, and then we can also amend it
Yeah.
as needed.
How many contracts or how many people are ready to just break ground?
I don't have anyone that's ready to actually break ground for commercial, but they're installing them left and right in residential.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Which really doesn't pertain to this document, yeah.
So it's just, I think, a matter of time before they,
Mhm.
starting.
Okay. All right,
Well, how could we pass something that would be temporary until we actually finalize the plan?
well, that would be a very time-sensitive and kind of,
I know.
yeah, because if something gets started and we pass a resolution
To change it.
when they're halfway through the installation project, and, yeah, I mean,
Well, personally, I don't see anything wrong with most of this ordinance. My thing is for the residential, we need some type of a clarification, and then there needs to be, some kind of a regulations on somebody putting a solar panel, in a subdivision or something if it's not properly installed, or, you know, if those things are gonna catch a lot of wind, they'd be subject if they're not put in right, of blowing
You're
panels
talking
off
about
of.
roofs, the panels on the roof?
On roofs or just out in the yard, you know, those panels are all, they catch a lot of wind, and so if somebody puts in a shoddy, or
Yeah.
if the wiring's not put in proper, and some kid's playing around over there, so you got all kinds of possibles in a residential area. We don't want to, we want to encourage them, but we don't want them put in
Yeah.
faulty.
is there something in your office that would dictate what residents do for their own personal?
The
Use.
ICC has a solar energy book that we have, so yes,
Okay.
it does pertain to residential, as commercial and
Okay,
residential.
so a residential customer would come to you and sign or let you know that they're putting in? I mean, is there something,
They just have to
a
come in and
permit?
give us all of the particulars,
Yeah.
and then they'd have to, we'd have to figure out what the weight is.
Mhm.
You have to get a permit.
That'd be a
They
regular,
would.
regular building permit.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
different set of standards, well, different documents other than what we're doing tonight here, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I'm under, how big would it have to be to get any useful effect out, as far as putting it in your yard? What would you do with it? Put on a light bulb, or, I mean, would it put out enough
Well, I think they charge batteries, I think.
stuff like that?
They charge batteries, and then those battery banks would in fact run part of your,
Keep them charged,
Mhm.
that would be part of another
Yeah.
system.
They put in a two-way meter. My son don't have any batteries.
oh, really?
He gets a credit or a bill from Ameren,
Right.
but,
Yeah.
but he's pretty well running, pretty efficient. It's pretty close to running his house.
Self-sufficient.
That's how Bobby Fowler's is on 16.
Right out here?
He gets
Mhm.
money back, or gets credit back from
Yeah.
MJM on his.
And put an inverter on them.
And in that panel there, I mean, I think there's two sets of, two in there. I don't know if they're 50-foot long or what.
Pretty good size.
Mhm.
Do they put out AC current, or is that just a little dribble of direct current?
Well, you have to be AC, well, like you say, I'm sure there's an inverter in
They
there
put an inverter on them.
that converts it to AC, yeah.
Yeah, otherwise it wouldn't be useful.
Well, getting back to this document here, we had a recommendation to table it for now, and I don't think that's probably a bad idea.
I just don't know what time frame should be, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, I don't know. I don't wanna go outside of a month, but
No.
No,
What about 2 weeks?
I think in 2 weeks, we can reconvene and set up another meeting to dig into this a little bit, maybe revise the document that we've changed, that we've, the recommendations we've talked about here, put in that document, and then come up with any other inputs. that
Yeah, and
we
then
can-
maybe Cindy could add for the residential.
Okay, so you're wanting it residential in here, or you?
Do we want to add an addendum for residential?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think we'll want to get into that. I mean, if somebody wants to put something like that in their yard for their own, to me,
Yeah,
if you're not going to make money on it and
Exactly.
profit from it,
right. We don't have any right to, yeah.
right?
Okay.
Mhm.
I think what we wanted was just define residential. Isn't that what we
Yes.
wanted?
Mhm.
Yeah.
You find it that it is
Okay.
commercial and not, this document isn't
Okay.
for residential use.
Okay.
Yeah. But like Gary said, I mean, when it comes to like subdivisions,
well, the building codes, that will take over anyhow, they're supposed to have a permit to put anything up like that.
That's true.
Yeah,
Okay,
We either gotta define the square footage of size or wattage it puts out or something. I don't know how they would define that for the system to move it from a residential to a commercial, or the purpose.
well,
or
it really
whatever.
depends on how big a house is. I mean, if you got a mansion, it's gonna take more kilowatts to power it, versus, yeah.
Like, we don't permit for those for residential though, to put them on the roofs
Oh.
or in the yard. We don't permit for those because it's not in our ordinance,
Okay,
so,
okay, well,
They
it's
don't need a
clean,
permit for those?
no.
okay. Well, that's,
okay.
sounds good. I mean,
Well, I make a motion then that we table this for 2 weeks and reconvene.
Okay, 2 weeks, we got a motion to table for 2 weeks, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, second by Sandy Hefner. Any other discussion? Yeah, 2 weeks plus or minus, I mean, we don't wanna, like you said, you don't want it to run out a couple months or even over a month. But get back together within a reasonable time, 2 weeks sounds pretty reasonable. Okay, all in favor of tabling it for 2 weeks? I hear an aye.
Aye.
No nays? Okay. All right, motion carries for tabling for plus or minus 2 weeks. Next item is recommendations of the building and grounds to the county board, so it's gonna get tabled. Excuse me?
I don't, that would be subdivision, this was just subdivision, wasn't it? Meeting?
Right.
Was it buildings and grounds?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, sure, yeah, okay.
Okay, when we, one of the properties that we demolished through the IDA grant, which is on Route 109,
Okay.
okay, it's completely finished and everything, so I'm
Is
just.
that the one by the bus shed?
No, it's
Oh.
further.
Oh,
further
okay.
south.
Okay, okay. Oh, okay.
So, I would like to request permission to place that lot on the market for sale so that the county can recoup the cost of the back taxes that we had to pay, and to place a lien on the property so that when it gets sold, then the county will get that money back for taxes.
Okay. And this is a procedure that you do for the elected condemned properties or anything like that?
Anytime the county has to go in,
Mhm.
and we physically have to remediate any kind of violation, and they don't pay, or well, then we have the authority to place a lien on that property to recoup our loss that we have done. So in this case, they had over $8,000 in back taxes that was still on the property. The judge did order it to be cleaned over, and the couple did clean it because they no longer had any interest in it. So,
Okay, I guess we can vote on this tonight and then present it to the board, on the next board meeting.
Is that gonna be a minimum bid of 8,000, or is it just gonna be bids?
I'm just asking for, permission to put it on the, for sale. But yes, I would like to be able to get as much as I could back for that,
Is it, you gonna try to sell it, or you gonna take bids on it?
however you want me to do it.
I don't know. That's what I-
I don't know if we need board approval for that,
Well,
Gary, or?
I guess we just approved for her to sell it.
Well, if you have it out for bids, you can put a,
You put a minimum on it.
Put a minimum
yeah,
bid on it.
exactly, put a minimum on it.
But I don't know if it'll bring $8,000.
Okay.
I doubt it. It's very small.
It's almost not big enough to build on.
But even if, I guess even if we were able to get 5,000, at least it would be something to give back to the taxpayers.
Okay, well, that sounds good. I guess we can go forward with that.
So we're gonna place a lien for the taxes?
Well,
or
yeah, we
when
can,
do
we
this?
can vote on this, here in committee, and, so the motion is to just to put a lien on the property and then in turn
Put it up for
put
sale.
it up for sale, okay? All right, do we have a motion to put a lien on the property and put it up for sale?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we got one, motion here,
I'll second
we have
it.
a second, Mark's got a second, here, so,
How would it be put up for sale? Would it be advertised or something?
Put it in the paper.
Yeah.
all right, all in favor, have an aye?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. And looks like that's all we got. Can we send it? Okay. Cindy? Okay.
Please don't lock the door up there, because I'm gonna
Oh, okay. All right, do we have a motion for to adjourn?
Wait a second, Mike,
Oh,
this is-
oh,
The sheriff
I'm
wanted to bring something
Oh, I'm
new,
sorry.
I think.
That's
Or
okay.
did you just want to talk to Brian afterwards?
I can just go close session with the committee.
There you go.
it's, oh,
Is there anything
it's
else
not,
you'd
it's
like?
part of the building. and grounds.
No, well, yes and no.
Well, I mean, if it wasn't on the agenda, we'll just, I can talk to him afterwards. That's, I don't know how urgent it is.
We can talk about it, we just can't vote on it.
Hey, I'll talk to you. Hold on.
Okay. Okay.
Hey, Brian, I think we'll just let you talk with Mike for now. We'll adjourn this, let you talk, and then, we can, I think we're gonna have to go into a closed session later on this issue, so.
Okay.
He'll make you aware of the issue, and then, you know, we can discuss it further, maybe at the county board meeting.
Okay.
Down the worst one is.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not that bad, but
All right.
it somewhat is of a personnel issue, so.
All right, okay.
I think that's the best way to
Yeah, that
handle it.
sounds, that sounds good.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, we got a motion, to adjourn, have a second. Okay, next. All in favor of adjourning, have an aye?
Aye.
All opposed, ayes have it. Well, that concludes the meeting. At 6:40.